What's up guys, my name is Finn. Welcome to Treehouse Off-Road. Thanks for watching. Today I'll be replacing the radiator in my 2006 Sequoia with this aluminum unit from AlloyWorks. There's nothing wrong with my radiator, but it's got 270,000 miles on it, and I don't want to get left stranded out on the trail somewhere. Full transparency, AlloyWorks did send me this radiator to do an install and review video on, so let's get it in there. Now that I'm under here, I am seeing a little bit of something going on with the transmission cooler line. Other than that, radiator looks okay. I've always been amazed that these plastic radiators last so long. So we're gonna drain this thing. Nice and clean at least. Okay, I'm going to take the shroud off. I don't have a lower shroud. I haven't had one in years. Upper shroud is held on by 4 bolts. Here, here, there, and there. Don't want to drop my wrench into the coolant if I can help it. Upper radiator hose. Overflow hose. This thing's pretty much empty. All right, so I got these clamps that I use for fab work, and I'm just going to clamp off these transmission fluid lines so I lose as little as possible. And then just prop them up like that. So I got them both just aimed up. I barely lost a drop. I was ready, but not ready enough. Looks like my lower grill / upper stock bumper piece is gonna have to come off. So radiator bolts, there's 4 of them. There's one there. There's one there. There's one here. And there's one here. These are 12 millimeters, all 4 of them. Luckily it won't just fall out because it's held in with hooks. You have to be pretty deliberate to get it out. There they are side by side. Now we're going to remove the plastic fan from the fan clutch. Next step is to remove the fan clutch. There are 4 bolts on it. This part sucked, I remember. You kind of got to use 2 12mm wrenches and go back and forth between the nuts because they're going to want to spin. So I've got the bottom wrench propped up against something. Got one loose. See that bottom wrench? It's stopping out and it's making it so that this won't spin. So now I'm going to try to grab this one. Got it. I'm sure there's other videos that explain this better. Got one more. I think a quick whack on this will loosen this one since it is cracked. Got it. And we may have to crack it free from its home. It's been there for a long time. And then you do have to put the nuts back on because they are going to be holding on this pulley. See how it's already wanting to flex? 2 washers on each stud. So here's what it looks like at the end. All right, I'd say it's time for a test fit. Fortunately, this radiator also has the little hooks that you can hang it with, just like the stock radiator. If you look in the center of the screen, you can see that hook is in. Also, you can see it right there. But the holes aren't lining up. The threads on the radiator look to be about a 1/2 inch high on both these top ones, and I did check both bottoms too, and it's the same case. So I could die grind out all the holes, that's no problem, but I think I'd rather die grind the hook slots. That way I only have to do 2 and not 4. If I make those hook slots a little lower, the whole thing will come down and it'll probably line up perfectly. Let's try it. So before I put this in for what I hope is the final time, I'm not nuts about these connections at all. I'm gonna cut these wires and extend them so I can end up using something better. I'm gonna use light blue for the left fan and then a darker blue for the right fan. Those are different, right? Yeah, just barely. Liking that a lot better. Probably put some conduit over there, and I left the leads really long. They'll stretch to wherever I need them to stretch to. That's much better. I can get a screw in that, no problem. Luckily it's the same M8 thread pitch. I almost want some longer bolts though. These stock bolts don't go all the way through the rib nuts. I think I got some new M8s. Yeah, these are better. Oh yeah, way more purchase on these. All the bolts are in. Time to test the fans. Let's try the left one, passenger side. Driver side. I'm not sure about the routing of this stuff yet, so I'll shove it up there for now. Well, let's do the overflow. Upper radiator hose, which has to come back off, by the way, because I'm getting a temperature sensor that goes right here. But for now, we're gonna put everything on a switch. Now let's go back down low. I think that's good. I don't want to go any more than that. It's already starting to leak a little, so I'm going to actually use a couple of hose clamps. Make sure this drain is closed, which it wasn't. I think it's time to put some coolant in this thing. Looks good under there though. Well, we just lost power. It's like 10 at night, but luckily I got to where I needed to get so that I could fill the radiator. Routed the fan wires temporarily up into my Amazon switch panel, so I'll be able to turn them on independently of one another. The best I can do for now. So I got some fluid right here. Let's see how much this thing takes. looks like it pretty much stopped. I think it's done. All right, let's turn these fans off. I will spend the next few weeks testing it and report back what I find. Alright guys, so I've been driving around with the new radiator in for about 2 weeks now. I've recorded before and after coolant temps using the Torque Pro app on my Android phone. So I'll put the original radiator data on my left and the AlloyWorks radiator data on my right. As you can see, there really wasn't much of a difference. 186 to like 195 I think is the hottest that it got. This is just daily driving though. I haven't tested it in any sort of off-road or high demand situation. There is one more thing I need to do though to finish this project, and that's put the radiator on a sensor. For the past 2 weeks I've had the fans hooked up to a couple buttons on my switch panel, but I keep forgetting to turn them on. Luckily I haven't been sitting in traffic much. It only overheated on me once, but I have to get this system automated before something awful happens. I even put a big F on my steering wheel to remind me. I still forget about half the time. So that's what I'm doing today. I got like 3 or 4 things off Amazon. I'll share with you what I got and then we'll put them in. Alright, so here's the stuff I got off Amazon. First one is the Durali Performance Electric Fan Dual Relay Wire Harness. Comes with a paper wiring diagram. You can tell these guys are old school. They don't just give you a QR code and tell you to kick rocks. 2 really nice looking relays. Bueller. And the 2 harnesses. So pretty simple. Red wire to constant power, yellow wire to ignition, black to chassis ground, orange to the positive fan lead. You do need fuses with this. These are the type of fuse holders I'll be using. This is your basic inline standard fuse holders. Next, I got 2 of these adapters that go on your radiator hose to take a temperature sensor. My hose is 38 millimeters, but I read that they run small, so I also got a 40 millimeter just to be on the safe side. Radiator hose, slip it into a convenient location. Got the temp sensor, 1/8 MPT to match the threads on the adapter. The radiator came with one, but it was not the right size. So this screws in here with either some thread tape or some thread sealant. So I'm thinking of throwing this baby maybe right here. I'd love to do it right here if I could get away with it. I probably could. So that's the plan. -15 to 350 Fahrenheit. All right, I think we'll be good there. If I get to 350 Fahrenheit, I'm gonna have other issues. And if it'll focus, you can see it in there. There we go. Down here. Got to do this whole thing again, but I only lost a tiny bit this time, so we're good. All right, she's on there. Looking good. Lost a little bit of coolant, but topped it off, and we're ready to finish the wiring. Alright, so I spent a lot of time at the shop that night trying to get the fans to operate with the temp sensor and to come on automatically, but I just couldn't make it happen. I couldn't figure it out. Basically, I couldn't figure out the purpose of the ground on the inline radiator adapter. I got it all dialed in now, so I'm just going to take you through the system real quick, just in case you want to do the same thing. We're going to start with the mounting position for these relays. As soon as I went to close the hood, I realized that the hood strut is going to crush them. First thing I did was unhook those, and they're resting there for now. If you notice, I have all the wiring exposed right now. This is so I can show you guys what I did. Everything's going to get organized, covered in conduit, and secured neatly. Orange wires from both relays comes up here, around the battery, into 2 fuse holders. Each of these fuse holders has a 30 amp fuse in it. And then we come into the fan wires. Dark blue is power for the right fan, light blue power for the left fan. So you can see I have conduit covering all the fan wiring as well. So these are the positive fan leads. The negative fan leads are in this conduit, and they go around through the fuse box in the battery and are bolted to the body right here. Next we'll do red. So red is power straight from the battery. The red wires come down through here, in there, through this slot. These guys are also fused with 30s. And then they come up and are connected directly to the battery terminal. Green wire is for air conditioning. It's where as soon as you kick your AC on, the fans come on even if the engine isn't up to temp yet. I will be hooking this up in the future, but I have not done it yet. Next we'll do yellows. The yellows are the ignition power, and they go through the grommet and the firewall, into the inside of the cab, into this fuse right here, ignition 2. So that makes sense, it comes on with the ignition. When the ignition's not on, those wires do not get powered. Last but not least, and this is the one that messed me up, is the negative from the relays. Comes out here, I join it into a bigger gauge wire. It comes all the way up here to the spade terminal connector on the temp sensor. Then the ground from the inline radiator adapter comes down here, around this way, and gets attached to a ground point on the body right there. There's a lot of videos on this type of setup, but none of them tell you exactly how it works. So what happens is you start your car, the fluid starts running all through the engine and through the radiator, and when it heats up to 180 degrees, a contact occurs right here that connects this with this. So now the system is grounded and the fans come on. So the system, technically it's always on, but it's only gonna actually work when it's got a proper ground, just like any 12-volt component. So that's all this is doing, is properly grounding the system. Very simple when you think about it. Another thing that I did see on Muddy Beard's channel, he was using either thread sealant or tape, I can't remember, but he was very careful to not use too much because this adapter has to be touching this temp sensor. If they're isolated from one another, then the ground signal cannot make its way from this wire to this wire. As soon as you get this temp sensor screwed in here, do a continuity test from here to here, the outside of the casing, and you should have continuity. You should not have continuity to here until the engine gets up to temp. So that's another thing you could do, is you could run your engine. As soon as you see it get to 180, you do a continuity test from here to here, and that's how you know that your temp sensor is working perfectly. All right guys, that wraps this one up. So this video will be uploaded before I've had a chance to thoroughly test the radiator. If it performs horribly, if it performs great, whatever ends up happening, I'll note it in the description. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for commenting. Check us out, Treehouse_offroad on Instagram and Treehouse Fin or Treehouse Offroad on Facebook. Peace.